I'll just check the sound here on the YouTube application feedback. Is that for sure? It should be alright this time. I'm already doing my makeup. It's okay. We can start. I'm sure you have everything you need. I talk about Mavi and what happened on the crypto market, what I think about it all. And I also talk about high tech. I don't know why it's worth to be interested in it, so let me check it out quickly. We can go to connect, and well, I have of course live chat here on this and these. If someone will write something, I will know it on my English speaking channels. If anyone will write in the live chat, I will also see it here in the chat, so feel free to write if there are any questions. Let's say Crypto says Crypto speaks, and as you can see on the miniature, we have Andy and Hamal. We have President El Salvador Nayib Bukele here. He speaks to the crowd. With a podium with a Bitcoin sign for sure, it will be worth it. This is a very famous character for our scene. What's interesting here in the background, you can see that there is a logo. Ethereum only with the signature of Ethana. No, not Ethereum, only Ethana. That's just enough. It's pretty funny that AI generated such a proposition of cryptocurrencies. That is in fact a cross. As far as I know, maybe Ethereum will become Ethereum, at least in the sense of, let's say, spirit. Spiritual. And I mean that he will just get to the same level as Solana when it comes to speed and speed. Because so far it's really very strong from the back, which I forgot to show this track. I don't know what 8x is, but I think the name shows that it's some kind of decentralized stock, because it has DEX in the name DEX, so it's possible that it's DEX. Decentralized or something like that, and this trade is doing pretty good. I said that it looked pretty good on Crypto Bubbles, but I don't remember if I have it in the position or not. I remember that it is on one of my Profis rings, so it makes sense to show it on Facebook. Which I have in the course after 28.5% profit. I think it's pretty cool if we could see it in a bit bigger interval. It will probably give the impression that it still has potentially a lot of room to grow. Exactly, yes. See that even if we skip this structure at the beginning? Here, for the first few months we will go to this consolidation a little bit. We really need to equalize one of these peaks. Here, of course, each of these peaks is lower from the previous one, but they are quite high, so even if we were to get to somewhere in this area, and we would also have to mark a lower peak only from this entrance, which I had on this trade, on this position, it would be something around 300%, which means that we can potentially this position can result in 2 doubles, and I hope naturally that it will be so. Well, let's see how Bitcoin looks like. Today is Monday. But the traditional markets do not trade at all. We will see how the connection works. It doesn't do itself quite well. And well, here we have, as you can see, a Bitcoin chart. Screen now, and well, one thing that should be turned over here is that attention, in my opinion, is, among other things, that we have here the formation of a falling wedge, a real formation of a falling wedge. It turns out that the lower the price goes, the larger the living area is, the more that this pop-up zone is just starting to work. We have another reaction, and here, as you can see, now we have the third drop, which is even smaller than the previous one, except that the previous one was smaller than before, so you can clearly see that the ground hardens on the way down. And there are more and more problems with the fact that the sales pressure is causing a serious effect. Yes, so here of course there are two versions. As always, so it can go up or down, but generally speaking, such behavior in the market favors much more to lower price levels if this pop-up zone, which is here, which so to speak, it causes this floor, on which all this is based, and all this is based if this question zone will be overcome. It's the same, let's say, as with a real floor, if you live somewhere in some, let's say in the block or in the tenement, of course, you have a room underneath, which is just an airspace, and there is really nothing that could hold you back until the next L. So that's why in this type of formation, if they break through the question zone, they just have the habit of causing the price to drop quite rapidly. The next area of support. So this is the mechanics of this formation. So in fact we should see some feedback at least soon. Let me check. I want to check one thing because now I have a serious doubt whether in case of Jian, I put this live stream in the pre-release mode. I think it shouldn't be like that, but it's still. I didn't do it by accident because I saw that there is very little everything is as good as possible. Okay, so the notifications didn't show up yet. But as you can see, today's Dnevka is already in green, which may be just the beginning of this reflection that we will have from this formation. I'll mark it here again to make it clear. On the altcoin chart, if we switch to the art chart, but we don't have such information here. I would even say that there is. This is another formation that I don't like. This is a falling triangle, a formation of a falling triangle here, so as this day candle is currently being drawn, and that would unfortunately situate us. The levels are potentially much lower if this formation is to be committed, i.e. again. And this, in turn, would give us the information. I'm sorry, I didn't want to present it. Formation, quite a large M formation, so it would be here, let's say double. Money for bears, and it's going to go wrong with altcoins. If, let's say, this formation M was supposed to be connected, then in turn, if we switch to a bigger weekly interval, we will see that we would fall into a very large formation of heads with arms, as you can see here. As you can see from this perspective, and this is also a bear formation, and the target of this formation is, the target in this format is very low. It's really incredibly low. This information would indicate that the altcoins will be reduced to some kind of poppy. Naturally, well, here of course this is wrong because it shows on minus 40 billion, which is a mistake. Very strong, and that's why I think that it will not happen, because once again the distribution, I simply do not point out that this is how it was supposed to be. And in addition, let's say, the expectations we have for the so-called at-con season, this is a very long time, and the nature of the market is such that the longer, let's say, Maresm Bessa, the stronger the spring is pulled to the shot. More and more capital goes into the so-called strong hands, and so people who don't have to sell don't have, let's say, to perform some kind of strata positions to make some kind of compensation, let's say, to make some kind of compensation for the obligations. They were able to keep some positions for a very long time, and the longer it took. Just such a situation even on the coin market, where simply nothing is happening at all, or this is a very difficult terrain for navigation. The more the better. These capital and the interest rate is going to the so-called strong years, which do not have to be time, and that means that at some point the market will be so clean from this gift of these cryptocurrencies, that any sales pressure will lead to big price jumps, because it will no longer be. No one will be able to sell it. All the capital will be in the hands of. Expect a very high return on them and will not be interested in the realization of profits on levels that they consider too low, or even very low. So it's just pure market mechanics. These are effects that are completely undisturbed. But they are not subject to discussion if you think about them. So if someone tells you that there will be no altcoin of the season, it means that he never thought about it. Why some market behavior at all. They have a place. He did not try to analyze their genes. It is quite simple. The only factor that complicates it all is time. This time range, sometimes it is a time range, and sometimes it is a time range, so sometimes the market does not. Gives us completely nothing of time, and in turn with other occasions of this time it is so long that it seems that some things will simply not come, that there was a change in the behavior of the markets, none of these things. All of this is a repertoire of market manipulation from which the market is. As an artist, he uses his full hands to keep the 1% rule, as I call it. Which means that 1% in the long wave shot is going to be the winner. The rest is going to be. To finance this 1%, and it's good to know about it. It's good to remember about it. And well, for now, maybe it's hard for some to believe that this is how it's supposed to be. However, over time, naturally, it will turn out that, over and over again, I was right that I know what I'm talking about because I've been in this sport for 11 years. In an active way and not passive, so it's all very active. I analyze and ask myself difficult questions, and I'm looking for answers until I find a satisfying answer. I don't want to have answers in which there are some inconsistencies, in which I leave some, let's say, in the space of doubt, or in the space of, not to be precise, when I was thinking about the market and I was looking at, let's say, some phenomenon. I want to have an answer to all questions about this phenomenon. My own market theory provides me with exactly this kind of comfort, and that's why after 11 years, I am convinced that it is a theory that is almost correct. Of course, I will not reveal it to anyone here, because the market is a zero-sum game, which means that what I win on the market comes from those who lose, so in the same way, I would just take it away myself. Bread from the mouth and not going to do it, it would be terribly stupid from my side. I just have to listen to what I have to say here, because a lot of this, let's say, from this theory, I will translate it in a very simple way, in a really non-dependent discussion if you really want to see it. I don't want you to listen to me carefully, and it's a really good news, right? That's all for now. Thanks for watching, and see you next time. If we know what the basics of market mechanics are, and not try to stand against them. Therefore, from this perspective, I absolutely do not see that this scenario of the bear has, because remember that this drawing is a little bit not true. Because he, so to speak, combines all the altcoins that are on Binance. Recently makes a very strong rotation of altcoins, a lot of delisting, a lot of listing, and IT. The shape of the outline here. Let's see if another version of the outline of altcoins is already available because of its time. And well, this is the one here, unfortunately not in full form. Some time ago, this drawing, whichever I prefer, to be honest. I prefer much more than the previous one. It was available in the full version, but for some time TradingView decided that it would not be available. We have to stay with it, because here we have a lot of This is the full picture of the situation, so this is what it looks like. Let's see how the Bitcoin domination behaves. And as you can see, the Bitcoin domination is reacting a little bit. Today, traditional markets do not trade at all, but we can still look at them with the help of a version of stock, so let's see what it looks like today. It looks like yesterday was delicate, negative, as we probably remember. Let's see how it looks like today on the daily life. Well, and as much as yesterday was slightly negative, today is not only positive, but it is so positive that we have a negation, which is of this red daylight, so it's a good picture. A good picture, let it be. I hope it stays that way. I hope this daily life has the possibility. Wait a minute, no. I'm saying it wrong because it's again a comparison of this stock against Solania, and not against. So we have to switch because we will have a false image of the situation here, it looks like. A little bit weaker, but still today's day is green, and that's good. However, it was not as good as it looked against Solana. When we measured the power of this, the price of this stock against Solana spied, but at least it's green. You can see that it was quite strong on red. Today it is on green, so it gives some hope that maybe tomorrow will be good, next 4-hour intervals too. Just like on Bitcoin we can. Maybe we have something to do with the formation of the falling rope. If that's the case, then we should have some kind of a blowout here, let's say. It would be like that. It would be like that. I think that the probability is that next week will be much better, much bigger than the bad one. But in the end, of course, I can. You remember that I don't trade based on what I think. As you can see on the charts, I have my systems for this. It is an incredibly important thing to recognize. As you can see here, we have a high-tech drawing of my meme coin. For now, the price is $1.30, as you remember. Some of you probably remember the mint coin from the channel. It's really a very decent increase. However, this is the only. This is a project that I promote on all my social media, and that's why you can treat it as part of the project. And that's why maybe it's worth to be interested in it. The whole pattern looks like. We were already at $307 in the evaluation, and then we took the first large amount of money. And as for now, probably from what you can see, we are in the process of creating a second wave, which will probably be incomparably larger than the first one, considering the fact that I'm putting more and more effort in creating awareness about this meme coin and not less and less. So for me, the only natural consequence is that next time we will beat the one who is currently in charge. Let's see here if everything. I don't know if anyone is writing anything, but I can see that there are no questions in the live chat for now. I saw that on the YouTube channel in Poland there was a little bit of a viewer at last, so who knows, maybe a little too early. I'm doing this live stream because I've been doing it much later in the last few hours, and the frequency was incomparable. I wonder what else we can add here. Let's see how Crypto Bubbles behaves today. From what I've seen, it's on red, except for IDEX. And the horse that I have in my position this time, because lately I've been having a bit of a hard time. I wish you all the luck to choose the coins to trade. Although here, let's say, it had increases unfortunately, but it did not belong to the basket of my hard coins. This time I'm lucky the flight is coming back to me. because as you can see, this is the only coin that is pumping here, and this is one of the coins that I have in my repertoire, so at least that's it. Let's see how they have. Other indicators that we are always looking at, i.e. the crypto fear and greed index at 39. This is yesterday's reading. The previous reading was 40, so 0.5. So the market is getting more and more worried about what's going to happen. And this is of course positive in the current context. The worse it is here, the less likely it is. But it is a day when the traditional market does not trade, so you should expect that. The results will be quite weekend-like, and I think they are, although a little bit. A little better than in the whole weekend. On Saturday and Sunday, we saw a little lower numbers. Like the ones we have now, however, it is still relatively small, maybe with the exception of. What is happening on Ethereum? Ethereum has almost $96 million in liquidation, of which 72 million are long Shia. So, I will say a little about the pause. Let's see what is going on here on Ethereum. We have quite a similar situation to what is on Bitcoin. Relatively, yes. We also have something here that, no. Here we have a bit more similar situation as on AdCoin, so it looks more like a falling triangle than. So it's a situation from one side to the other. On the Bitcoin itself, but since Bitcoin looks like anything, there is a big chance that it will pull them out now. Of altcoins, because as we know, altcoins are quite faithful. Sometimes they follow what Bitcoins are doing. If they show similarities, then everything should be okay, and this formation of the falling triangle, both for Ethereum and for all altcoins with the exception of top 10, well, this formation should break up instead of down. And in my opinion, I can't do it because I always say that if there is a strong bull market, you should always give more credit and trust. That even bear formations will break up. Of course, this is a bear formation. On Ethereum, we are now in a growth trend, i.e., in the bull market. So you always have to give that extra credit of trust that even if something looks like it's bad. If it was very bad, it is at least slightly more likely that this over-the-top trend will continue. It will be continued. That's how I would see it. Let's see here if everything is playing, but I see that. Okay, let's go to x.com and see what's going on. Will be happening in the news area around crypto, which is what the cryptosphere is talking about now. We can also take a look at coinglass.com and see how it works. The fluid on the levered arms. Where is the most fluid? Let's take a weekly frame so that we have a better picture of the situation. There is definitely much more fluidity. We see that it is focused on the price. Here on this picture we see that at $114 there is quite a lot of it. If we were to look at, for example, the 24-hour shot here, we would be able to think falsely that more of this fluidity is under the price, because in this picture, the biggest focus is on the price. But if we move it a little bit, we will zoom out, we will see that looking into too narrow a bird's eye view. What's going on the market can lead to very false conclusions, so it also favors so that this formation of the falling clean on Bitcoins on day markets will work. It's a knockout, and thus the formation that is on the altcoin chart. It shouldn't work either. In this case, the other way around. There's the formation of a bear, it shouldn't work either. It should break out with the ceiling, not with the floor, and we should see the continuation of the video of the daily trend, which is currently growing. So let's see. Let's see what we have here. Analysis. I see that there is also analysis here. That Ethereum will continue its current bull market. What else? Here we have a comparison of Ethereum versus Bitcoin exactly the same that we came out of the new format. Broadening wedge. Which is expanding clean dial, and we have potentially broken out with it. We are now in the process of retesting the upper line of this formation, and at the moment when this retest is done, will be effective, then we should continue to grow as well. Here we have even more. Here is another analysis. The next trader, as you can see, expects that we will have a feedback. It just indicates that we are in the rising channel. On Bitcoin, that we have a significant channel, and we just got to the bottom edge of this channel, and thus we should have a response here, i.e. not only the formation of the following, which indicates that the lower we go, the harder the ground, but still, we are in the rising channel, so yes. From the perspective of classical technical analysis, so far it looks pretty good. It shouldn't be happening here. Nothing to worry about. Eric Trump says that Bitcoin for $110,000 is the interest of life. Well, let's hope. This time, this scenario will not be repeated when it comes to the advice of Eric Trump, which happened the previous time. But thanks to this increase, which has not only this drop in the last few months, but also this drop in the last few months. But also, let's say, from the beginning at that time, the problem was generated. A few people on the live stream, so I encourage you to do it. And of course, if someone subscribes to one of my channels, I encourage you to also subscribe to ATEC, that is, to my meme coin. Here you don't have